The process of falling wasn't long, but Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo instantly reacted to use their prop magic boots. The moment they touched the water, their bodies straightened under a strange power and their feet touched the water. The boots touched the surface of the water and ripples spread out. They stood steady and firm. On the other side, the situation of the two foreigners wasn't as good. David and Pete were confused as they fell into the river, which wasn't an ordinary river. Once they fell in, they found they were attracted into the water by a strange suction. Pete S.N.A.T.C. had the S.H.I+L'd from David's hand, whispered a spell and dumped the S.H.I+L'd onto the river. The S.H.I+L'd also floated on the surface of the water. David and Pete jumped onto the S.H.I+L'd and dripped water as they stared coldly at Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. As Tang Mo guessed, after completing the side mission and leaving the customs hut, all four people regained their original appearance. The two players previously spoke in English, and after removing the monster camouflage, they happened to be two foreigners. It wasn't rare for foreigners to be in China's borders. As long as they were in China, they would be counted as a Chinese player. This was the case with Jack of the Attack organization. The current situation was more favorable to Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. David and Pete were standing on S.H.I+L'd. They might have been saved from falling into the river, but movement wasn't convenient. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo were different. They used their boots prop and were stepping on water. The two sides didn't do anything and stared at each other vigilantly. They knew that their opponents hadn't done their best in the previous battle. They had fought in the customs cabin just now. Before the dwarf chief died, he said that falling into the river of fantasy would be terrible. Therefore, the four people tacitly held back to prevent themselves from falling into the river. In the end, they still fell in. In terms of force, these two foreigners were definitely at the top of all the players Tang Mo had encountered. Tang Mo stared quietly at the two men, his voice cold. There are two foreign players among the returnees. They often kill pigs and like to rest. They will use all their rest time so they aren't on the time leaderboard. However, they can't be underestimated. Pete sneered. You're wrong. We are no longer returnees. He pointed to his neck where the golden number was absent. They were two returnees who had become official players. David said, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo, you are the legendary two strongest Chinese players. Oh no, I forgot about Mu Huixiu. That woman is really annoying. Nothing good happens every time I meet her. I've always hated the Earth survivors who regard you as the strongest in China. Before the return of us returnees, the Earth players are just pigs. Didn't you take advantage of this to gain the lead in clearing the tower? Fu Wenduo asked lightly, what do you want to say? David raised his chin. It seems that we are fighting against each other in the game this time. Tang Mo refuted it. The side mission was indeed like this, but now it is over. No one knows if there will be another side mission or what the main mission is. The implication was that Tang Mo wouldn't rush to make enemies in a dangerous game. He didn't mind working with these two people if necessary. Pete snorted and Tang Mo looked at him. The blonde foreigner had a mocking expression on his face, as if Tang Mo's words were extremely ridiculous. He pushed back his blonde hair and his blue eyes didn't hide his disapproval. Cooperation? Wow, that is impossible. After all, the Earth survivors are so weak. I don't know how strong the strongest Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo will be. Pete didn't say this to become enemies with Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo. He was a returnee with a bad reputation, and it wasn't just due to all the killing. It was also because of the arrogant attitude that looked down on people. Thus, he didn't notice that the moment he raised his hand, Tang Mo's eyes narrowed when he saw the red agate bracelet on his wrist. An identical bracelet instantly flashed in his mind. Tang Mo breathed out for a moment and closed his eyes, taking deep breaths. He didn't feel much about the death of the huckster and wouldn't be too sad. Many people had died after the Earth went online, and he wasn't that familiar with the huckster. It was just that Chen Shan. David and Pete didn't find any abnormalities with Tang Mo. It was only Fu Wenduo who glanced at him because he was too familiar with Tang Mo. Tang Mo's hand was quietly pressed on the small parasol. There was a possibility that he could complete the main mission without cooperating with these two people. However, there were many possibilities and he couldn't reduce the number of possible teammates at this time. Tang Mo was taking his hand back when a small bottle of wine fell out of Fu Wenduo's pocket. This wasn't possible. Fu Wenduo made a rare look of surprise because he couldn't make such a mistake like the mission prop falling out. He reached quickly and reached out. Then the banana wine said straight through his hands and fell into the pink river. This incident surprised everyone. David and Pete didn't understand what was going on, but a familiar image said through Tang Mo's mind. The next moment, he saw ripples at the place where the banana wine had fallen. The ripples became larger and larger until they set off a shocking wave of water. Tang Mo opened the small parasol and covered himself and Fu Wenduo, blocking the pink water from their bodies. The river glowed white, and once the white light dissipated, a white-bearded old man in a white robe could be seen. David was startled. What is this thing? Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo, under the bright suns. H.I+N.E., the old man smiled and raised his hand. 3B.A.L.L.S of light emerged from his hands and floated in front of Tang Mo's group of four. Honest children, did you drop the golden banana wine, silver banana wine, or this ordinary banana wine? Beijing, the 80th High School. Ruan W.A.N. should never put his eggs in the same basket. If Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo successfully said the 5th floor in 3 days, then players in China wouldn't be forced to attack the tower on June 10th. This was just one of Ruan W.A.N.'s plans. After the Black Tower's version 4.5 update, the Tianxian organization started to madly collect excellent quality props for Ruan W.A.N.Shu and Lian Yuzheng to attack the tower. Yes, he and Lian Yuzheng would also predict I.P.8 in the tower attack game, but they weren't as anxious as the Tang Mo duo. The forced tower attack game on the 10th had nothing to do with them. They just wanted to attack the tower because the first 3 players to clear the Black Tower's 6th floor can get a clue about the 7th floor. Fu Wenzheng was staying in the Tianxian organization and it wasn't good to do nothing. The child took the mineral water bottles provided by Ruan W.A.N.Shu and filled 3 of them. Are you really going? This condition is very tempting, but the world's strongest people must be trying to be the first 3 to clear it. My brother and brother Tang will definitely go. Ruan W.A.N.Shu looked at him. Did I say that I want to rob it from them? Fu Wenzheng was surprised. Lian Yuzheng wiped her knives and spoke in a calm voice, the first 3 players or teams who clear the 6th floor can get a clue. We want to work with Tang Mo. Fu Wenzheng instantly understood. Tianxian had a bad reputation in Beijing mainly because they were a stowaways organization. Still, they were very strong. Tang Mo's group and Tianxian experienced various waves and could now barely coexist peacefully. Fu Wenzheng had long heard from Li Miao that the reason why Tianxian wanted to kill Tang Mo was because after Ruan W.A.N.Shu and Lian Yuzheng suffered to clear the 2nd floor, their reward was taken away by Tang Mo. He didn't know if they just had bad luck or the Black Tower scammed them. Fu Wenzheng reminded them, the more people who team up to attack the tower, the more difficult the game will be. Needless to say, Ruan W.A.N.Shu also knew this point. Ruan W.A.N.Shu replied, cooperating to attack the tower is the best choice. Fu Wenzheng was about to say something else when there were quick footsteps coming from the hallway outside the door. The door of the CLA.S. room was forcibly pushed open and a bald man gasped out, it is bad. Leader, there is a foreign man who came with 2 people to smash us. Fu Wenzheng wondered, a foreigner? Yes, go quickly. My Miao and brother Chiang are barely holding on. Ruan W.A.N.Shu's expression suddenly changed. They quickly ran to the school gates and saw a strong foreign man blow Li Miao away with a boxing move. Lian Yuzheng quickly caught Li Miao. Li Miao say that Ruan W.A.N.Shu came and said, Leader, this person is simple sick. He came to ask if we are Tianxian and also to find someone. Tianxian was used to being arrogant in Beijing and rarely encountered people coming to their door. Lian Yuzheng's eyes were cold as she held her knives. She was as light as a swallow as she stepped on the flower bed and flew to the strong foreign man. The 2 people exchanged several moves in the blink of an eye. Lian Yuzheng didn't use all her strength at first. She was just testing the other person. She gradually discovered this strong man was holding man and fighting defensively. He didn't intend to kill her. Ruan W.A.N.Shu called out, okay, stop. Lian Yuzheng immediately retracted her knives and stood beside Ruan W.A.N.Shu. Ruan W.A.N.Shu stared coldly at the man wrapped in a coat while Fu Wenzheng glanced up at the sky and muttered, it isn't winter and the sun is so warm. Ruan W.A.N.Shu stepped forward. This is the Tianxian organization. What do you want? Strange Chinese flowed from the other person's mouth. Call, no a person. Li Miao explained, leader, he wants to find someone. Fu Wenzheng asked, he came to Tianxian to find someone? Is the person he is looking for inside Tianxian? Call someone. Li Miao touched her injured cheek. Who the H.E.L.L are you looking for? There was a puzzled look in the strong man's eyes. He pointed to the English name outside the 80th school and confirmed that it was indeed the 80th school. A few seconds later, 2 short middle-aged men came running over while out of breath. Mr. Andre, have you found it? Andre nodded. The 2 middle-aged men turned their heads and saw Ruan W.A.N.Shu and the others. They gulped as they understood the people's ties. Beijing's most powerful stowaways organization. The 2 middle-aged men wouldn't be able to kill these people even if they have 10 lives. The crazy Russian dragged them here so they could only. I'm sorry. We're from Xinjiang and he is a Russian player. He traveled from Russia to China in order to find someone. Originally, we thought the person was in Guangzhou and didn't expect her to come to Beijing. We heard that Tianxian is the most powerful organization in Beijing and wondered if we could ask for information. In fact, he just mentioned this suggestion and Andre immediately left to find Tianxian. The player never thought that Tianxian would actually help them. Sure enough, Ruan W.A.N.Shu looked at them coldly. Tianxian will never help you find someone. The middle-aged man showed an embarrassed look and slowly explained Ruan W.A.N.Shu's words to Andre. Andre silently took out a silver-white knife from the backpack he carried with him. Lian Yuzheng saw the knife and her eyes brightened. Andre handed it over to her. Good prop, change, tell me, where is she? Lian Yuzheng tested out the knife and said, Leader, this is a good thing. Ruan W.A.N.Shu nodded. Who are you looking for? Andre replied, Mu Hui Shuet. Ruan W.A.N.Shu couldn't understand. Who did you say? He had been in China for so long and Andre's Chinese had slightly improved. He repeated, Mu Hui Shuet. Cough cough, the group turned to look at Fu Wenzheng. Fu Wenzheng hurriedly said, Don't look at me. I just choked on my saliva. It is nothing. He really didn't know Mu Huixiu. The next moment, a big fist flew in front of him. Andre's dull voice was heard. Where is she? Say, give you, good thing. It was obviously a threat, but due to the weird accent, it sounded a bit funny. Fu Wenzheng was nervous, and then a smiling female voice was heard behind them. It turns out you are looking for me? If you are looking for me, then don't scare the child. He really thought you would kill him and almost peed his pants with fright, haha. Fu Wenzheng was keen to refute that he didn't pee his pants. Andre didn't understand the woman's words, but he took back his hand. He turned and saw the young woman sitting in a tree. After a long time, he muttered, Mu Huixiu. Mu Huixiu smiled. That's me. Why are you looking for me? Andre was silent for a moment. No reason. Just kill you. The next moment, a black shadow rushed down the road at a very fast speed. A fierce fist slammed into the tree and the big tree trembled fiercely. It was split in half by the fist. Mu Huixiu agilely jumped to the concrete floor, using one hand as support. Her long ponytail moved as she looked up. She wasn't angry as she watched the other person. Then she spoke in fluent Russian, Are you serious? Andre was stunned. He hadn't expected the other person to actually speak Russian. He replied in Russian, I'm sorry, but I must kill you. Mu Huixiu smiled as she pulled out the red whip hanging from her waist. I accept your challenge. Meanwhile, the Black Tower, the River of Fantasy. The two foreign players hadn't heard the story of the river G.O.D in China, but Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo couldn't not know it. Tang Mo looked at the 3 bottles of different colored banana wine and asked, We can get out of here if we choose the right banana wine. The river G.O.D first nodded before shaking his head. He pointed to the 3 bottles of wine in front of him, Honest child, you don't need the banana wine to leave here. You need something else. Now it is time for you to make a choice. Which bottle is your lost banana wine? He just finished speaking when the Black Tower's prompt was heard. Ding dong. Triggered the main mission, River of Fantasy's Gold and Silver Banana Wine Game. The rules of the game: first, hold the real banana wine and leave the River of Fantasy. This will clear the game. Second, there is no connection between the bottle and the wine. The silver banana wine might be placed in the gold bottle. Third, among the golden banana wine and silver banana wine, the golden bottle can be used as a boat to leave the River of Fantasy. The silver bottle can be used as a compass to find the right direction to leave the River of Fantasy. Fourth, each person can only choose 1 bottle of wine. The same bottle of wine can be selected by a maximum of 4 people. After the bottles of wine have been selected, their usage needs to be confirmed. Once the use of each bottle of wine is confirmed, it can't be changed. Fifth, if you state the wrong usage, for example, calling the real banana wine the golden banana wine, the boat can't be used and the real banana wine is also invalid. Sixth, the game adopts a number of people who cleared it model. If the number of people who clears it is 1, the player can get the hard mode reward. If the number of people who clears it is 2, the players can get an ordinary mode reward. If the number of people who clears it is 3, the players can get a mentally handicapped mode reward. If 4 players clear the game, then there is no reward. 7th, each player can make a request to the river G.O.D. Honest child, did you lose this golden banana wine or this silver banana wine? Or, is it your rare prop reward? On the pink river, the white-bearded river G.O.D showed a mysterious smile. The author has something to say, River G.O.D, honest child, did you drop this golden tang tang or this silver tang tang? Or, is it the soft tang tang that can be picked up? Old Fu, the soft one short of breath. Tang tang.